We begin today in the United States, where the new Biden administration's Middle East foreign policy is finally just a little bit more fleshed out, leaving Israelis with a couple of concerns. With a slew of new directives, executive orders, and reversals of Trump-era policies, many worldwide are left wondering where they stand. The United Arab Emirates, for example, now waiting in limbo with respect to the $23 billion purchase of F-35 fighter jets from the Trump administration, which was advanced in part through the Abraham Accords for normalizing ties with Israel. Likewise, the sale of munitions to Saudi Arabia has been stalled pending review from the United States State Department. As for Israeli leaders, they too are waiting for further details in order to get ahead of any other potential conflicts of interest. With the new nominee for U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, taking point this week and highlighting some of the other initial promises and changes that have now been made.
So if I am confirmed as the U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, I look forward to standing with Israel, standing against the unfair targeting of Israel, the relentless resolutions that are proposed against Israel unfairly.
Additionally, Thomas-Greenfield vows to be a voice against the anti-Israel BDS movement, which she says, quote, verges on the anti-Semitic, following similar promises by acting U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Richard Mills. The diplomat's explaining that in order to effect change, the United States has to be an involved partner, as opposed to President Trump, who attempted to punitively withdraw from or renegotiate with several international organizations and agreements. But at the same time, returning to a more supposedly diplomatic approach to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, officials are defending Biden's choice to restore support for the long-stalled two-state solution negotiations. This, in addition to resuming contact with PA leaders and restoring financial aid for the Palestinians under the guise of preserving stability.
President Biden has been clear in his intent to restore U.S. assistance programs that support economic development and humanitarian aid for the Palestinian people, and to take steps to reopen diplomatic missions that were closed by the last U.S. administration. We do not view these steps as a favor to the Palestinian leadership. U.S. assistance benefits millions of ordinary Palestinians and helps to preserve a stable environment that benefits both Palestinians and Israelis.
These payments were cut by the Trump administration, however, over the Palestinians' continued salary payments to convicted terrorists, as well as the fact that many of these organizations, like UNRWA, stand accused of perpetuating the conflict with biased narratives and support for Palestinian violent resistance. Meanwhile, with over a week in office, Biden has yet to even speak with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, with some claiming that the supposed snubs reflect hopes to withhold any achievements that might boost Netanyahu's chances of re-election in March, especially given the rift between Jerusalem and Washington over how to address Iran, which began between Netanyahu and the Obama White House. That said, many argue that Biden is simply following traditional policy in calling Canada, Mexico, Britain, and others first, while the new Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, has already called his Israeli counterpart, Foreign Minister Gabi Ashkenazi.